The sun is shining, the birds are actually singing, and I am so excited to start scattering some spring all around the house. Welcome to Alecia at Home, where we are all things creative. I am Alecia, and I'm looking so forward to spending time with y'all today. We are going to do some fun spring crafty DIYs and then do some spring decorating. Before we jump into all of our projects today, can we just chat a minute? Y'all, I am so humbled by the love and the kindness that y'all have been showing me on my channel this past week. Oh goodness, I can't even begin to express the gratitude that I am feeling for all the support that y'all have given me in helping me grow my channel. Y'all are just so kind and so sweet, and I feel so blessed and so honored to have you all join me here on my channel. So for all of my new faces this week, welcome. I am just thrilled to have you all here, and I cannot wait to spend more time together and get to know each other more. This is going to be a fun adventure. Alrighty friends, let's go jump into our DIYs now. We're gonna have some fun. Our first project is an idea that I borrowed from my sweet friend Emily over at Farm Charm Chick. I just loved hers and knew that I had to recreate one for myself. So we are going to need a cutting board to create this project, and I cut mine out on my scroll saw, but if you do not have access to a scroll saw, you can find these cutting boards, unfinished cutting boards, at most craft stores. And I'm using some antiquing wax that I watered down just a bit to stain my cutting board. I stained both front and back as well as all of the edges. And we are also going to stain the edges of our little accent piece here. But for the front and the back, I only stained it part way in because we are going to apply an image to this, so you won't really see it anyway. We will be using this piece to create somewhat of a 3D effect on our cutting board. I found this darling image on Etsy, and I will try to link the original source in the description box for y'all. So to adhere this to our little accent piece, I'm using some Aleene's all-purpose clear glue, and I like to use a clear glue for these types of projects, so if any seeps through, you don't see it. I'm applying a pretty liberal amount because I want to make sure this stays in place permanently. I am using my hands to smooth this out, but if you have a brayer, I recommend using that for a smoother application because I did get a few little bumps in this. I really need to get myself one of those brayers. They are so cool. We'll set this aside for a bit to allow the glue plenty of time to dry. And while we wait for the glue to dry, I'm going to give our cutting board a little distressing. I'm using a nail file for this. I really love to use these nail files for sanding small projects like this because they are fairly inexpensive, and I buy them in bulk, and I will try to link them for y'all in the description box below. But they do work really well for these small projects. right, let's move our attention back to this little accent piece. When I glued on our paper applique here, it was a bit larger than my piece of wood. So to clean up the edges, I go around the entire perimeter with my sanding file. And I recommend filing in a downward motion away from the wood piece to prevent tearing the image. You can see here how nicely this shapes the applique to our wood piece. It almost gives it that painted on look. All right, let's have some fun with this by adding some texture. I am going to use some faux greenery that I found at Walmart, and I especially love the boxwood picks. They look so realistic and are really inexpensive. I think I only paid $1.50 a stem for these, and the bundle is really full. So I'm going to use some hot glue to apply the greenery to the back of our applique piece, and I don't really have a rhyme or reason to how I apply them. I just try to keep them all going in the same direction and keep adding stems until the entire perimeter is full and fluffy looking. This is how it looks all finished, and I am just loving this so far. Okay, so now we need to attach our accent piece to the cutting board, and I'm just using a piece of scrap wood from the shop to do this, but tumbling tower blocks from Dollar Tree would work perfectly for this step as well. I'm using hot glue to attach the two pieces together, mostly because I'm impatient and want instant gratification. But you could also use wood glue if that's what you prefer. And to finish this piece off, we'll attach some jute cording to the top to use as a hanger. Let's do some floral arrangements. I have a couch table just inside my entryway and wanted to add some pops of color and spring to this really cool scale that I pretty much keep there year round. So I thought it would be fun to bring in some whimsical flower pots filled with greenery and florals. And I found these really cool terracotta pots at Walmart. I just love the earthy color. I think they will blend really well with all my other decor, so much nicer than a traditional terracotta color. And this pick that I'm using I also found at Walmart, and I don't usually like pink, but something about these caught my eye, so I thought I would just give them a try. I first began by placing some floral foam in the bottom of our pot and then began adding the picks all around the outer edges in a clock-like pattern, placing a stem at 12, 3, 6, and 9. Then I will go in and fill in all the gaps around the edges as well as the center. Once I have all the greenery in place, I add in the florals, but I don't go overboard here because I really just want to add in enough for a slight hint of color. Okay, y'all, so I think this looks so pretty, but when I went to style them on my entry table, the pink was just way too much for me. So after all that hard work, I ended up replacing the pink florals with some more simple white daisies, and I really love the end results. have spring fever so bad, and since all of my garden beds are still buried under a foot of snow, I thought I'd just defy nature and start my own garden indoors. So for this project, we are going to create a small herb garden. I'm going to plant some seeds, but because I'm impatient, I also wanted some that were already in bloom as well. And I found this rosemary and basil plant at my local market, and I'll transplant them into some pots. And y'all, this poor basil is not looking so good, but I have a pretty good green thumb, so maybe with a little TLC I can bring him back to life. I start by adding some garden rocks to the bottom of my pots for good drainage, and then I'll add in a little soil, the plant, and then some more soil to make sure my plant roots are fully covered and amply buried. In our last pot, I am planting some basil, cilantro, and rosemary from seed, and I've never tried starting seeds in a pot like this, so we'll see what happens. It may or may not work, but that's okay. At least I get to play in the dirt a little bit. There is something so therapeutic about gardening and playing in the dirt, even if there is still snow outside and I'm doing this indoors. Do you guys like to garden? And to finish off this project, this part of the project, this project's got a part two. But anyway, to finish this off, I printed this cute little seed packet that I'm going to glue to a popsicle stick and place it in our pot for just a little extra whimsy garden fun tag. No garden is complete without a sweet little watering can. I found this one at Walmart, and while it is darling as it is, it doesn't quite blend with my current decor, so we're going to give her a little makeover. I start by painting the entire can with some elephant gray paint by FAUX, and I knew one coat probably wouldn't cover the vibrant colors underneath, so I assumed 2 would do the job, but nope, it took 3 coats in order for me to get a good solid coverage on this cute watering can. As I was painting this, I kept asking myself, why am I doing this? And then I had to just remind myself that I'm sure it's going to look lovely in the end, and I'm going to really enjoy it, and it'll be worth all this effort. Now that we finally have our base coat down, I want to give our watering can a rusty, distressed finish. So to do this, we'll need to work in layers using several colors, and I'm using coffee bean, raw umber, cinnamon, metallic gold, and yellow. And you can use any brand of craft paint for this. I am mostly using folk art, but my yellow is a Waverly chalk paint. So I just start by applying the darkest color first and then layer from dark to light using a stippling brush, and I sort of just pounce the paint onto the surface in a random pattern all over the watering can. This is my favorite part. After we've applied all of our layered colors, we'll finish this off by taking some coffee grounds and rub them all over the can to sort of dirty this up, giving it that final layer that will help enhance our rusty look. And I think this turned out pretty good. There are numerous ways you can achieve this look that some take longer than others, and I do often use the baking soda method by mixing it into my paints to really give the surface a realistic rusty texture. But you know, I was feeling impatient as usual, and this method was a lot faster. But I love how this turned out. I have been having so much fun decorating the house for spring. I have just scattered spring vibes everywhere, and I'm really loving the outcome. It is a little bit different for me. I don't normally decorate with Easter specific items, but this year I did decide to put out a couple of bunnies, but I really think of bunnies, I kind of relate bunnies to spring anyway, so I think we can go ahead and use them in our spring decor and just kind of leave them up through this season. I also went with more of a cottagey farmhouse feel this spring, which is also a different look for me, but I'm loving the outcome. So let's go take a look and see what I've been up to. Starting in my entryway, I added the flower pots that we made to this scale along with a lantern and candles to give it a cozy but clean spring vibe. And to my favorite corner just off the entry, I added a splash of green, which is my favorite color. I also added the bunny pillow we made last week, a few new blankets to the blanket ladder, and I feel like this finishes off the entry offering a fresh spring, welcome to my home feel. Okay, so I have a very open concept living space on my main floor, so I created this small sitting area in the center of the room, which often acts as the focal point in this area. Therefore, I really like to make the fireplace mantle the center of attention for all my seasonal decor. So I'm going to begin by placing a large piece of art that will act as the backdrop for this vignette. Then I'm going to use wicker baskets to provide lots of texture, and to these baskets I add in lots and lots of greenery mixed with a scattering of florals to bring in just that fresh spring feel. I love how the wicker is adding some warmth and contrast to all the bright greens and florals. In the kitchen, I like to keep things light and airy, using mostly pieces that are functional but can be decorative as well. So on my open shelving here, I like to incorporate layers by using risers and stacking my dishes. And I also added in some wood bowls just to bring in a tinge of warmth. And for a tiny splash of Easter, I placed some Easter eggs in one of my wooden bowls. On the island, I brought in more wicker that ties in with the wicker from the sitting area. And to this wicker basket, I just added in greenery and the darling chunky bunnies that we made last week. And I continue the spring vibe into the dining area with yet again more wicker, lots and lots of greenery, and some faux tulips. And y'all, these tulips look so real. I feel like they just added a stunning pop of green to this vignette. I finish off the decor with our cute little herb garden that just adds so much joy and brings in all those outdoor feels to this spring ensemble. Overall, I am enjoying the fresh new look to our main living area. It definitely feels like spring indoors, even if it doesn't outside. Alrighty friends, that is going to wrap up our projects for today. I had so much fun. It was fun to decorate, and I enjoyed all of our fun, quick little easy DIY projects that we whipped up today. Thank you all so much for being here. It truly means the world to me, and I appreciate that you take time out of your day to come hang out with me. I look forward to seeing you all again next week. We are going to jump into a fun project. It's going to be a little bit different for me. It'll be a new something to try. So I hope that you guys will all join me again next week for our fun little adventure that we're going to get into.
I will see you all next week. Until then, y'all take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.